Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Link to the Past 2019 Randomizer Tournament here on Speed Gaming number 5. Tonight we have ourselves Game 2 of the match in Group X of Voosh and Dr. Marty Zero. I'm Professor Render, and joining me in the booth is my co-commentator Mercer. How are you doing today?
Pretty good. Looking forward to seeing this, and we're going to have a bit of a normal start to this seed, aren't we?
Yeah, we are. This the setting that was changed was set to standard, so we're going to have a pretty standard start. We're going to be going through the escape sequence, rescue Zelda, and bring her back to the sanctuary, and we will get a random weapon to start off.
Yeah, some of those are a lot friendlier than others.
Yeah, that is true. My favorite one is probably the Samaria Star because you have plenty of shots to work with. Fire Rod is also really good too. Only caveat is that you only have 8 shots, so you got to make those shots count.
Yeah, but they might actually be rooting for bombs. It means you're guaranteed to not have to farm them. It can be a bit of a skill gap on those. You could also just get the sword. That is still a possibility.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah, bombs are nice too, especially for the level that these runners are at. So you don't have to worry about farming for bombs whatsoever.
Yeah, I'm interested to see. It was. It used to be the case that sword was less likely. I don't think that's the case anymore.
I don't know if it's for certain now. I'm seeing some interesting sprites on Voosh's side. We have the medallion sprite, which means most of the seed you'll be seeing a Bombo sprite unless we get some armor, and that will change to either, I think, Ether and then Quake. Either way, we're underway.
Both of our runners choosing to start in Link's house, unsurprisingly.
Right. First off, we have 50 rupees in Link's house.
I have to admit the medallion sprite is a new one for me. I've never seen that particular one before.
I believe it was added in, one of the version 30 changes. I forget which one. It might have been one of the hot fixes. But today's standard weapon is going to be the bomb start.
Okay, so depending on how good you are at hitting enemies with bombs, this is either great or terrible.
We also get a bee in a bottle. I'm not sure. I don't think this is a gold bee, but we now have access to Sick Head once we get through the escape sequence. Now, the best thing about the bomb start, outside of being, if you know the bomb strats, this is a lot more easier, but of course these two runners are at the highest caliber of play. They made it in for a reason from the qualifiers.
Yeah, I don't expect either of them to have too much trouble, so they're probably going to be happy to see that just so they can go ahead and take care of back of escape.
Starting off with the map, and oddly enough, the map chest.
So yeah, the reason we do have a standard start instead of the open you may have been seeing is just because this is Game 2. The loser of Game 1 got to choose one of several different settings to change, and Voosh decided to go with standard.
Yes, and standard is really nice because you have a weapon right out of the gate. You don't have to worry about finding another weapon somewhere else. And the reason why you get a weapon is because you need something to at least get to the escape sequence. And certain weapons will give you a refill upon death.
Yeah. Now, Dr. Marty actually used his bee in the bottle to kill this blue guard. Voosh killed it with bomb strats. They're both going to use the pots to kill the big key guard almost certainly.
Yeah, using the bombs here would be a waste, and especially for Dr. Marty having to use the bee in the bottle that he was given, he saves 4 bombs that Voosh would have used, that Voosh had used, and jackpots in the Zelda cell.
Yeah, so far a lot of money, which is kind of nice. Doesn't imply Zoro within the logic, but makes it easier if you do end up needing to do that check relatively early in the seed.
Yeah, that is true.
So Marty's got a bit of an edge in Escape so far. Part of that is just using that bee in a bottle. Voosh had a bit of trouble with that particular guard.
Yeah, that little time save for the bee in the bottle really helped. But here's a little interesting facet about standard that might not apply for everything else. Now, as you notice on Dr. Mario's side, and soon Voosh will have it too, that you have that appears that they appear to have the lamp cone, although that they don't have the lamp in their inventory. That's because the game is hard coded to give you the lamps, so that way you can get through this dark room with no problems.
Yeah, that's specific to standard seeds. It is worth mentioning that that actually would be there if they were to come back through here later. For example, if they hadn't gotten bombs and needed to get to the back of the Escape without gloves. These guys would probably be able to make it through without issue regardless, but it is a nice quality of life feature to know about.
Yeah, it prevents any troubles that would have happened if like having to do dark rooms without the lamp at all. It's because in the vanilla game there are 3 different locations where the lamp could have been. Like some of them, those actually being Link's house, Zelda's cell, which in the NMG, the No Magic Glitches run you grab before you get in Zelda, and also the secret chest, just past Uncle.
Yeah, the both of them managed to kill the true boss of Escape, Keyrat. Voosh actually uses their bee in a bottle at that point.
At the same time, too, Voosh also recovers some bombs in the process because of that 3 bomb pack in the bag of Escape.
Yeah, there were also at least 1 bomb drop off of a rat from that the bee had killed, so they might have had a decent time getting through anyway. And we do have Mire and Sanctuary, so that's at least 1 progression item out of this little 6.5-minute diversion.
Which is nice. They do have a lot of fast travel for some certain rooms. Like, for example, the Sanctuary is technically a dungeon if you decide to mirror, always go from the start from Escape, or start from the Sanctuary rather, and then you decide to mirror. So it saves you a little bit of time from instead of just walking all the way down. I think that's tier 3 prize was just a single rupee. And the hoarder only gives out small magic.
Yeah, we got a blink and you'll miss it sort of map check from Voosh. Unfortunately, I was too distracted by noticing that the medallion's map sprite is the book to notice the actual dungeon contents.
And only a piece of heart was found on the lumberjack ledge, so we're not going to kill Aga just for a heart piece. Now, that doesn't mean that we write off Aga entirely. It's possible that we might need to kill Aga 1 just to get into the Dark World.
Yes, as well as the infamous Pyramid Fairy hammer.
So far, nothing in the Lost Woods. Now going to go and check out the Kakariko checks from Dark to Marty 0. I got a brief check at the map. I see that there was a red crystal on Eastern Palace.
Yeah, and our trackers got pretty good eyes. I saw a red pendant on Desert, but they saw that Hera is also green pendant.
A rod was picked up along with the blue boomerang. I like to believe, I think, if from what I can tell, I think it was the ice rod.
Yeah, ice rod and blue boomerang.
Okay, that's what I thought. Okay, so ice rod, that's fine. Now we're gonna check out the Kakariko well. A total of 5 items, including which also includes the bomb wall in this particular check. So there's a glove in the well. That's one part of our Dark World access puzzle.
Yeah, it doesn't bring a ton into logic by itself. Just Zora at this point.
Well, they do. Well, Voosh rather has Zora money. Dr. Marty is just a little short on Zora money. We might be able to see what that is. There's a hammer.
Well, okay, now we're just Pearl short.
Now, this is nice for Dr. Marty 0 and also Voosh when he gets that hammer. And a heart container from the sick kid. And a sword in the back of the brewery, the tavern.
Very strong CAC so far.
Oh, definitely. We have Ice Rod. We have access to the stun prize with the blue boomerang. We have the hammer and gloves. Only a moon pearl away from Dark World access.
Yeah, if you're rooting for Aga, you're down to a Pyramid Moon Pearl at this point.
Yeah, that's the only possible thing that could happen in the seed, because that is a possibility where there is a case where you have to kill Aga because the only thing that's left for Dark World access is that moon pearl on the pyramid ledge. It doesn't happen frequently, but it can happen. Another such case is Titan's Mitts and Flute, in case the moon pearl is on Checkerboard Cave. Those are just 2 examples of those out of the way places for the moon pearl could be. You don't want to see them in those spots, but they can happen in the logic. Uh, 20 rupees on the sunken treasure, as well as a heart container inside the dam.
You know, kind of interestingly, Voosh actually save and quit out to get to the to head to the South Shore area. Marty just walked there using the gloves. That's probably because of the save quit in this version being a little bit slower than it usually is. I don't think there's much of a time difference between the two at this point.
Yeah, the current latest version of version 31 had some fixes with the MSU1 pack, which we won't see in the rest of this tournament. But at the same time, it also added a delay because of some bugs that cause a crash, from what I've heard. So to offset that, the devs added a 1.5 second delay, and which will hopefully be fixed pretty soon.
Yeah, so Marty's not going to check Ice Rod Cave. Instead, save quits out, heading straight for Death Mountain. We have access to, I believe, all of Light Death Mountain at this point. So this makes sense, but kind of orphaning that Ice Rod Cave check unless Flute gets found.
Yeah, really, I really like this play from Dr. Marty, taking advantage of the lamp. This gives logical access to Death Mountain and the Old Man Cave. The only way you can really get up to Death Mountain at that point is through Old Man Cave.
Yeah, and Mire and Hammer give them access to the full mountain.
Ice Rod Cave having a some blue mail, so only some added protection for Voosh.
Yeah, but it's not something that's going to send Dr. Marty necessarily looking back there later. It does, however, let us see that apparently Bombos is considered the weakest of the medallions by the sprite developer, and Ether is second.
And then eventually Red Mail becomes Quake. Also, there is a bow on top of Spectacle Rock.
Yeah, that's nice to see, just kind of casually sitting there.
And we also get our Dark World access, our Dark World check. I see that the other 5/6 crystal is also on Palace of Darkness. A callback to the last race in this group X, where the 5/6 crystals were also on Eastern Palace and Pod.
Yeah. Now, Dr. Marty's heading into Hera. It is a Pendant Hera. It is possible we see Voosh skip this.
Voosh gets dead rocked on the route to the Old Man. And also for a bit of context, on the opposite side of the Group X, Gyardo versus Magnificent in Game 1, the 5/6 crystals were actually Eastern Palace and Pod. And outside of that, though, 3 bombs on top of the floating islands, and Dr. Marty Zero is going to take a look at Spiral Cave. Gonna play it slow and arduous, because we don't have boots, we can't just dash through it. This is one of the more long-winded checks of Death Mountain if you don't have the boots, so you have to slowly walk around the spiral and then drop down to get your reward for a shield.
Yeah, not necessarily the reward you want to see for that walk.
And I like the bunny sprite for Voosh. It's actually the tablets from the BSX exclusive Ancient Stone tablets, which was a official ROM hack from Nintendo that was supported for the Satellaview, which was a original peripheral that was added in with super effects.
Dr. Marty finds powder in Paradox Cave.
That does open up the magic bats. And there's your Moon Pearl.
Yeah, and now the seed is really open. If we get myths, then it gets even more crazy, but...
But yeah, that's Dark World access for Dr. Marty, and Voosh will soon get that once he clears out Spiral Cave, as well as Paradox Cave.
Yeah, I mean, this might be like Hype Cave up to Pod Eastern combo, and then you can like check Pyramid Fairy. That's pretty tempting.
That is definitely tempting, and Dr. Marty is going to go and check out that Hype Cave right now. Total of 5 items if you count the NPC, which of course we do. Starting things off with 10 arrows, Bombos Medallion, a piece of heart, a heart container, and another heart container. So Bombos Tablet is not the Bombos Medallion is not a bad pull, but then again, we don't know what the rest of we don't know the medallions are for Misery Mire. Or maybe Turtle Rock. I think that was also, if I'm not mistaken, that was a pendant.
Yeah, I mean, that Bombos Medallion could also be our access to Ice Palace.
And Dr. Marty is going to check out Pod. Look, this looks like the 5/6 this 5/6 crystals is looking very nice because we can do the Pod Eastern combo with that Mire in hand. We have the necessary materials to clear out both dungeons.
Yeah, we might actually see like Pyramid Fairy check like close to the half-hour mark, which is remarkably early.
And there's our big key. Normally that would have been bow locked, but since we have the bow in hand, that's kind of pointless. So that's fine. Voosh is going to grab his Bombos Medallion from Hype Cave. And also, that was a Sank Heart inside Hype Cave. So we now go to the bowlock side of a pod with that bow in hand. We make that excursion a lot more easier. The only reason to take out the Gurias, or the Mimics as we call them, because it mimics your inputs. And we have a first key.
Yeah, one of the more obnoxious key layouts that's possible.
Yeah, because this dungeon has tons of keys, as well as the ton of items that you can grab. The idea is that you want to get enough keys to. The dungeon has enough keys so that in case you misuse a key, you'll have enough keys to continue to at least complete the dungeon and prevent the soft lock from happening. And a Master Sword was picked up in the basement of Pod.
Yeah, you're definitely not going to complain about that early. Okay, this pod is already loaded, and we've still got 3 items to find. There's the fire rod.
So both rods are available. That also means now we can clear Skull Woods, and Dr. Marty is setting up for the Hammer Jump. This is a trick that requires 2 precise placements. This is why Dr. Marty is using pause buffers to get himself lined up properly. And nails it for a piece of heart.
Okay, sure, why not?
There's your float. That's 3 items so far. Well, that's actually 4 items. We only one more, and actually that was our 5th item. What do you know? A hammering up does pay off and saves them quite a lot of time and having to open up less chests to find the rest of the keys. However, since Dr. Marty had used up a key before, we're going to see a key here, and that's the key that we need to get to the back of Pod in order to fight off Helmsar King.
Yeah, I don't know that I've ever seen so heavily a signaled, pod be so packed.
To answer a question in chat, since both runners are going to grab the same number of items, it's hard to tell really who has the advantage here. Since Voosh spent some time to get some keys, I feel like Dr. Marty might have a slight advantage, but not by much.
I mean, yeah, I think Dr. Marty's just a slight bit ahead. They've got essentially the exact same checks done except for Ice Rod Cave, which just has a mail upgrade. The flute will make that quicker for Dr. Marty if they go over to do it at some point, but if we get a bunch of progression like this, that might be a check that never happens.
Yeah, it's fine. Most of the runners are fine with on green mail anyway, so it's not a big concern for them. Anyway, though, Dr. Marty is facing off against the Helmsar King fight. What you do in this fight is that you have to hammer the helmet of Helmsar, I forgot that's his name, a total of 17 times, and then you shoot some arrows at it. That's what for a total of 8 times, or if you have the similar arrows, it's a one-shot, or you can also swing your sword at it to kill him off, and that's the Helmsar King fight.
Or as Marty did there, you can do some arbitrary combination of those things.
But that is first blood for Dr. Marty 0 getting the first crystal of the race. Answer another question in chat. The settings for this race is a standard race, a standard seed. Voosh got the opportunity to pick the change that was made because he lost the first game of this match, and he chose standard. And as predicted, Dr. Marty doing the Pod Eastern combo, starting things off with 10 arrows in the cannonball room. There's your big key. Now, if we did not have the lamp earlier, of course, this pod would have been out of logic, especially in the back here. The back of pod does not have enough torch boxes to light to make the fire rods in logic. The only room in pod that would have been in logic was the basement with the blue rupees. But if let's say Dr. Marty, and of course the fire rod, since the fire rod was in pod, we wouldn't have this opportunity to begin with. But if the fire rod was in somewhere else, was another place, and the lamp was never found, technically this Eastern Palace would have been in logic because there's a torch box in the coming room above the big chest that has a torch box that you can light, and that is and that can be used to make the back of Eastern Palace logical. That was a little change that was added in version 31 that made the fire rod accessible to the logic.
Yeah, Eastern so far not nearly as exciting from an item point of view as Pod.
Yeah, nothing much to write home about. Of course, we have to clear this dungeon now anyway because this is a crystal.
Yeah, that single green rupee is not going to help Eastern's case.
Not at all, especially with the fact that we had 10 arrows to start off. We had our big key. I think we saw a dungeon item earlier on. If I'm counting my items right, I think Armos might have the other dungeon item.
Yeah, Armos is gonna have nothing. It's not impossible that Voosh chooses to skip the vanilla big key chest, even though it does actually have an item on it. Depends on if they, are feeling in a gambling mood or not.
Yeah, he'll save time from Dark. He'll gain back some time from Dr. Marty, as Dr. Marty sets up for the Armos quick kill. The Armos fight is very straightforward. You shoot your bow at these Armos knights, and if you set it up correctly, you'll be able to get a quick kill on them before even any cycles were to be put on the runners on this runner. But Dr. Marty gets the quick kill just fine. Gets the second crystal of the race. Oh, it was not the second crystal of the race, but the second crystal for him.
Okay, Voosh is gonna clear this out completely. I actually could totally see making that gamble. There's only a 50-50 chance from Voosh's point of view that the vanilla big key location has an item at all. It could be on Armos. But they're being thorough.
Yeah, it's mostly a toss-up at that point, with the big key being where it was, and a couple other facets, so that it's just a 50-50 shot at that point. And as we know, that it was nothing of worth. Voosh will find that out pretty soon. Dr. Marty Zero now going to activate his flute. He will gain control of a duck that will take him to 8 preset locations. This also includes the Mire area, but we do not have access to it just yet. We need the Titans to make the Mire area possible. So Dr. Marty now has his duck. To answer our question, chat, Voosh's sprite is actually a medallion that can changes into each of the 3 medallions in the game based on what armor you have. In this case, he has blue mail, so Voosh's sprite is the Ether medallion. Dr. Marty in Skull was while Voosh is setting up for the quick kill on Armos.
Yeah, there's a possibility we see a divergence at this point. while doing the Skullwoods Thieves Town activate the flute play is certainly tempting, it's possible that Voosh will head for Pyramid Fairy or a few other checks. They might start with Thieves instead of Skullwoods. Could be interesting to see here.
Yeah, and Dr. Marty is going to head to the back of Skullwoods first and to kill off Mothula before anything else. It's best that when you have the fire rod and your sword ready to go, that you kill off Mothula first before doing any other checks in Skullwoods. Boo's gonna check out Sahasrara's closet. There's your Titan's Meds.
And Voosh finds himself in a chest.
It's actually the Ether Medallion, which, fun enough, that he is an Ether Medallion. I guess Etherception.
Yes, Marty did skip the closet. Marty does not have Titan's Mitts or Ether. That might hurt. But Mitts lock a lot. Eventually, Marty will be forced over that way.
Now, that also means that Voosh has access to the Mire area.
Yeah, as well as Dark Death Mountain, although it probably will be a while until Voosh heads up there, unless, at least Hookshot gets found.
Dr. Marty on the Mothula fight, while Voosh is going to give us our auditory flute activation. And now Voosh has control of the duck that can, and of course the duck, as we know, he can take us to 8 different preset locations that Voosh can call upon at any point. Dr. Marty, meanwhile, has taken down Mothula and got the big key from Mothula. That's actually one of 2 dungeons that can actually have the big key on the boss. One being Swamp Palace, because the reason why is because the Skullwoods and Swamp Palace, Skullwoods and Swamp Palace, they don't require the big key to get to the back. Instead, just to get the item in the vanilla game, in this case would have been the Fire Rod in Skullwoods and the Hookshots in Swamp Palace.
Yeah, most runners, by which I think I mean all runners that have qualified, also don't need the big key in Ice. But logically you do, because you have to Ice Palace bomb jump in order to bypass that requirement.
Yeah. Now that Voosh and Dr. Marty has finished up the Mothula fight, he's going to go and do his other checks. That was a key in what would normally be the big key chest in the vanilla game. And now there's a total of 2 items that he can find in Skullwoods.
Master Sword doesn't one-shot the hand. Voosh will find, to mild dismay there.
Yeah, the Wall Masters take at least Tempered Swords to one-shot, and Marty's going to take the vanilla approach to this dungeon and going to check out to the big chest there. Only 20 rupees.
And that is the first of our 2 items in here.
I do like the setup that Dr. Marty used. He mirrored so that way he doesn't have to, because he doesn't have a hook shot. He can't hook shot his way over to the other end of Skullwoods on those statues, and instead mirroring so that way he can get to the other checks here.
Yeah, Skullwood's holding a total of 40 rupees and a crystal, so not terribly exciting, but at least you got the crystal.
Yeah, we're only here for the crystal anyway, so Dr. Marty gonna head over to the village of Outcasts. And first gonna check out C-shaped house. Reason why, because this looks like a C, and there's the other mail upgrade for Dr. Marty.
Yeah, it means we'll probably see Quake out of Voosh here. who won't get the option to leave it on the ground since it is, allegedly for cowards.
Yeah, and that also means Dr. Marty might not come back to the Ice Rock Cave at all. Anyway.
Yeah, there's a good chance, based on the amount of progression we've seen, that Go Mode will not require that he ever go check that, unless he gets, on a hunt for something, such as those gloves that he left in Sir Ashula's closet.
But he also gets a silver arrowed bow from Thieves Town.
Voosh with a bit of a nail biter against Mothula, but gets it there with no magic and 1 heart.
Excellent job from Voosh. And because of the layout of the first 4 chests, the big key will be in its normal spot. And the reason why we leave it, the big key will always be in the 4 locations, as that way it prevents a soft lock from happening, because we need the big key to get even into the Thieves Town proper.
Voosh did use their first B, but both runners had been given 2 Bs because the big chest of Eastern also had one. To answer a comment in chat.
So Dr. Birdie now on the Hellway up to the sunroof of Thieves Town. And the reason why it's called the sunroof is because there's actually a bit of light that you can open the wall, the floor of this particular room, which will end up be where which will end up where the fight of Blind will be at coming up soon. And in the game, it's supposed to be the golden power shining on below onto the dungeon floor, and we'll see that again soon when the fight comes to Blind.
Yeah, Voosh does a check of bumper ledge. I don't think Dr. Marty did that, but it's just a shield, and they would need the cape to get there anyway.
Yeah, it's a cape. It's the only reason that you need the cape for anything. So Voosh now has his red mail, and going by the logic of this sprite, yes, that is Quake Medallion. Voosh is actually going to do another check before heading into Thieves Town, and that will be the chess game. And the Canis of Mire is also in the chess game. That's really nice.
Yeah, our list of requirements is starting to narrow. It's possible that Mire requires Quake. Flippers are going to be needed for Swamp Palace. And Hookshot is also needed for Swamp, even if they can hover, and they would need boots to do that regardless. To answer chat, depending on what TR's medallion is, Voosh will have the option to go there. Marty will not until he goes and picks up his Titan's mitts in the old guy's closet. That said, it is a pendant, which of course it is because the ice rod was very easily found early. So let's see where Marty heads going out of Village of Outcasts. Not going to have the option to do the Smith Chain without the Titan's mitts. Probably will at least do the digging game in Stumpy and south of Grove Cave. But depending on what that smith chain has and if Voosh chooses to take advantage of it, that could be actually a pretty big difference. It's going to get a magic bat check at least. Seen the bat have value in a couple of seeds lately. But not today. So guessing we're about to see Digging Game and Stumpy there, and then we'll see what Voosh does heading out of this blind fight that's coming up. Oh, the flippers. So that opens up a decent amount, including like the front of Swamp, if somebody's feeling particularly bold to do that without hookshot.
And Voosh has a really nice blind fight. So with the flippers in hand, obviously we can enter Swamp Palace, but we would need a hookshot to full on complete it.
Yeah, going in there, you'd be gambling on a, vanilla or French vanilla hookshot. Certainly possible. Might be a little early. Is he going for it? Oh, interesting. So this could be pretty big.
Yeah, this is a interesting call to make. There's a total of 6 items in the dungeon, which is actually the most amount of items in a dungeon if you don't count Hyrule Castle, which also has 6 items.
Well, also if you don't count Mimic with TR.
Right.
Now, this could actually be really interesting because this is a play Voosh is less likely to make. Voosh has probably more appealing plays that are available, including Ice with those flippers is now going to be in the logic.
Yeah, the Ice Palace play makes sense for Voosh, but also Dr. Mire's play for the hookshot, or possibly Ice Swamp Palace, is nice. I also like it too. It's a very interesting gamble, and I would say I'm in on this because really, if he gambles correctly, then that he might have a good advantage over Voosh.
Yeah, it depends on how opposed Voosh is to going into Swamp without hookshot. Like if Voosh would dip Pendant over that. But if it doesn't have anything, it's going to hurt. Now, Dr. Marty is up a game in the series, so maybe taking the chance is okay here. But really, it might just be a lot fewer plays available without those mitts.
Yeah, that is true, because Voosh still has the glove advantage because he went to Sahasrara first, Sahasrara after going to Eastern Palace.
So let's see what the Smith... Smith has shovel, so we don't know yet what the Smith really has.
And Voosh could have brought in the magic bat in addition to the blacksmith chain. Or the blacksmiths, rather.
Yeah, I can do the dig spot too. This is all going to route in pretty nice, where a couple of these checks are going to be isolated for Marty.
And only a piece of heart from the magic bat. And to back up what you were mentioned about Dr. Marty going for this Swamp House play and being up a game, I kind of see this as playing aggressively in order to potentially find the hookshot here, and if it makes a gamble like that. As something to relay from the past, from something from day one in Group X, Guru versus Magnificent. Guru had mentioned in the comms that you cannot play passively or conservatively in the that you were in the qualifiers. You have to think about your opponent at every step of the way. So Dr. Marty doing left side swamp here only adds to this aggression that Dr. Marty is going to be doing. So if he finds something here, then that's some really nice value. Mushroom.
Okay. All right, game, if that's what we're going to do today.
Oh, great. So we have fetch quest into a fetch quest. And then all that for a bug net. Well, for the purple chest rather. Now we're gonna go check the potion shop.
Yeah, this is a pretty long chain to have nothing. But it certainly could be nothing.
Yeah, also, Dr. Marty had mirrored out because he only found 3 bombs. Does not have the hook shot. And all of that for a piece of heart. And Dr. Marty is doing the bomb shop.
Yeah, I thought we might see this early. But then we got, everything from Pod to pull us away from it. But it might have been, where the answer was all along.
Voosh, however, is actually going for Misery Mire because he still has the glove advantage. And we'll get to figure out what is required for Misery Mire coming up right now. And that is Ether Medallion for Misery Mire. You have access to it.
Yep, Quake not going to be required, barring some sort of something else in TR, Quake for TR entry line.
Yeah, that also means the bombos is also pretty useless. So, in general, though, not only that Voosh can also enter Misery Mire, but at the same time, he can actually clear it.
Yeah, it could go... Well, okay, so the, one of the boomerangs and Tempered Sword in... Oh, and there's Tempered Sword in Checkerboard, so there's a decent chance that they end up with butter.
Yeah, at that point, too, really, nothing else can... I always think about this whenever I'm racing or like watching the races, but I always consider the final 4 chests of Ganon's Tower, and that actually, the fact that we find, oddly enough, a vanilla location for the Tempered Sword, for Marty's Tempered Sword, rather, but at the same time, now that Voosh also has his Tempered Sword, which would have been the Gold Sword, normally if Dr. Marty had decided to go to Misery Mire once he has the Titan's Mitts, of course. That pretty much means, in combination with the silver arrows and the mail upgrades that we got, there's nothing that can be found on the last couple chests of the game. If anything, all they're probably going to be looking for is probably some sort of health refill from a piece of heart that gives them a heart refill. But then again, we also have the powders, so that makes it also useless.
And Voosh is going to make the Ice Palace play. I believe this is guaranteed completable without, it's guaranteed completable for them for sure. I believe it's guaranteed completable without hookshot if you have Cane. Not 100% sure on that.
Yeah, I think I don't know the specifics either, but I know some part of the dungeon can be Sumaria locked. I honestly don't know where that would have been.
For practical purposes, Voosh will be clearing this. They will Ice Palace bomb jump.
Oh, and also a bit of clarification as well. We do need the boots and the hook shots for Misery Mire, but at least Voosh knows that he has the knowledge to at least enter it, just not all the way, like completely enter the dungeon. And Dr. Marty is also going to do what Voosh is going to do. Well, first of all, he's going to go and check out the rest of...
he's definitely not doing ice. He doesn't have mitts.
That's true, yeah.
I hope this isn't a case where he's forgotten that he didn't check the closet. It feels a little like it might be the case that he's forgotten he didn't check the closet.
Yeah, that might be a big problem, really. Because that will put Voosh farther and farther ahead of Dr. Marty. And Doctor's gonna go and check out the Ice Rock Cave. He'll get his red mail.
Yeah, some of these ice rooms without boots or hookshot are kind of obnoxious.
And Voosh is doing a bomb jump that isn't as common. Doesn't get it, but you can if you line yourself up correctly, you can bomb jump your way over to Ice Tea Room. If you know the bomb jump for the hookshot locked side of Misery Mire, then you can do that as well.
Getting a Nagina check out of Marty.
Only 20 rupees.
Oh, the good news is this is not a check that will be forgotten forever. Eventually, Marty will go clear Hera and turn in the green pendant and see, oh, this is not bombed. Even if he has actually forgotten it, which he may just be planning that routing to begin with. Like, that might be his decision.
And yeah, because of that, really, as I mentioned before, that Voosh will have a dungeon clear ahead of Dr. Marty because of the fact that he has the Titan's Mitts. from that point forward. And yeah, seeing Dr. Marty flew over to 1, his intentions are clear. He wants to clear out Hera and go and turn in that green pendant. And at the same time, too, he will get the Titan's Mitts there. But it's rough to see, to have Dr. Marty check it as he's turning in the green pendant. If, let's say he didn't save and quit from Eastern Palace and went over to Sahasrara after that, we would still be we would still be fairly close at that point in time.
Yeah, and it's entirely possible that this Hera or green pendant, like they dipped in earlier, did not get anything. It's entirely possible that this will lead to the hookshot or to something critical, and then that's an advantage because it might be a while before Voosh makes it up here.
Definitely. Doctor gonna grab that big key and now it's gonna make his climb up the tower.
Voosh making some of these same flipper checks. We know that these don't really have anything. A single arrow sort of looks like the hook shot briefly.
I think it might have been, but of course we're gonna get the information from Zora.
Marty already checked this. It's a heart piece.
Okay, alright, cool. So, of course, Zora has nothing here. And Dr. Mire gonna fight off against the Moldern fight. A very straightforward fight. You just hit the tail with your sword and not get center hold.
That's regrettable. It's certainly a feeling everybody who's played this game can sympathize with.
Yeah, the problem with this Moldern fight, or Moldern in general, is that his movements are unpredictable. I mean, you can bait it out in some form or another, but his movements are very unpredictable and can result in moments where you get knocked off the stage and you have to redo the fight all over again. But Dr. Marty gets revenge and he takes on the Moldern fight and will get his green pendant.
Yeah, let's see if he goes for the basement. I believe there is still an item in here. Voosh is about to go get a butter sword and not much else. It's kind of nice to have. You won't say no to it, but not necessarily what you want.
Yeah, it makes the Ganon fights marginally faster. And I really mean very, very marginally faster. It's really just a step up from temper. It's only just a step up in terms of damage. As you know, regardless of spins, the tempered sword, the gold sword will do the same amount of damage as if you were just slashing your sword.
I believe the last I heard that like a perfect Ganon fight is actually like the slightest of margins faster for tempered because there's less lag and you can do it in 1+1 cycles. But you know, it'll make some of the other fights a little easier along the way. You can just do dash pokes in some places.
Gotcha. And there's Quake. So that's all 3 medallions, but there's nothing else.
So we're going to get 2 out of the way checks here with Catfish and Spike Cave.
Now, Spike Cave, Dr. Marty can do with a red potion.
Yeah, it's not in logic without the cape or cane, but he is going to get through it for the other single green ruby.
So, Voosh looks like he might be also doing the Hera play.
Yeah, I mean, this could be a Turtle Rock play. This is the only way they have up the mountain without the hook shot.
Of course, we don't know exactly what medallion is required for Turtle Rock. It could be Ether as well. It could also be Bombos or Quake. So, Dr. Marty will now have his Titans Mets. And only 3 bombs from Sahasrara.
Oh, no.
Does he not know that he didn't bomb the... Yeah, he's heading back to 5. Wait. He's in the Dark World?
He may... He skipped some key for keys and pods. He may think he miscounted items.
Oh, this is gonna hurt for Dr. Marty. And Ether is also required for Turtle Rock, so he'll have access, Voosh will have access to it.
Yeah, everybody has this sort of thing happen to them from time to time. Just kind of part of the game. But hopefully he'll realize it at some point.
Yeah, this is really rough. And hopefully, if he decides to head back afterwards, then we might be able to. He'll probably hit himself in the face there. Hit himself in the face, like just face palm. How I guess at the fact that he completely forgot about Sahasrara's closet, and Voosh is now heading in Turtle Rock. Yeah, I think he has their idea now. Taking a moment to figure out what he's missing. So, on the opposite side of the spectrum, Voosh is in Turtle Rock.
That's not going to work, though. They're going to have to head the other way. They don't have the hook shot for the normal way.
Yeah, since we don't have hook shots, this process takes a little bit significantly a little bit slower.
Luckily, had enough magic to do it.
And there's your hook shot.
And there it is.
Oh dear. And the sad thing too is that that was locked by the Titans Mets.
Yeah, and by Ether and a couple other things. But so we're now in like 96% go mode, I believe. It is possible that the boots are required for GT, but while Desert is boots locked, Desert is also a pendant.
Yeah, that's something to consider too. We're in a state what we call Schrodinger's go mode, where we are, for the sake of us knowing that we are technically in go mode, but there are cases where we might be taken out of go mode because we're missing one more item. In this case, the Ganon's Tower big key could be locked behind the torch on the left side of Ganon's Tower, which requires you to get the boots in order to well, actually grab the item, at least grab the key.
Yeah, Marty's going back and checking dungeons that he bailed on due to item count stuff now. So I don't know if he's going to make it back over there.
Yeah, this is going to hurt. And that is a Godmire for Voosh. Reason why we call it a Godmire is that if you find the big key in the first two checks that you do in Misery Mire, that being the bridge and the spike room, you'll be able to get access to the back of Misery Mire without having to check any more items or check any more chests.
Yeah, so we'll see a this go mode Mire. Silvers is going to make Vitreous very straightforward. And then just a go mode swamp away from GT on Voosh's side.
Yeah, so Voosh is going to fight the Vitreous fight. In this fight, you have to take out the eyes first with the silver arrows. It makes it like you're playing a game of Space Invaders or something, and then you shoot down the big eye, which if you have the silver arrows, it's 2 shots to the eye, and that's the Vitreous fight.
Worth noting, in the vanilla game, silvers are locked behind Vitreous for a reason.
Yeah, typically with the Vitreous fight, you'll either use something like the bow or bombs or even a tempered sword slashes in order to take out the eyes, and then you can either shoot the eye down with the bow or just keep swinging at the eye in order to get...
I think he's got it.
Oh dear.
I mean, it's far too late for him to make a comeback in the race, barring like Head Boots GT Torchlock or something insane like that. But still happy to see him find it. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't blame him. Finding the Titans here just makes things so regretful, and even then too.
That's right. Boots can't be ped. We know DP is boots locked. Thank you, chat. So that scenario also just can't happen. Yeah, I'm happy for him that he found it, though. I know that feeling very well, and I'm sure most randomizer runners do.
Yeah, those mistakes do happen from time to time. At that point, really, all he really has to do, all Voosh really has to do, is to clear out Swamp Palace, and he's good to go. Really, this dungeon, as I mentioned before, you don't need the big key in order to finish off the dungeon. You just need to get a small key, which is very accessible from a pot that's in the main room. So all Voosh has to do is just get that pot key, and then just make his way over to the back of Swamp Palace, take out Argus, and then he'll be off to Ganon's tower.
Yeah, and with the current loadout, this is going to end up being probably a pretty good time for Voosh. Silvers and Buttersword are going to make a quick climb possible, depending on exactly where the big key is in GT.
Yeah, really, that all it really comes down to is if the big key is required, or at least the boots are required for the big key. We know that the boots cannot be on the pedestal. It's already, at that point, would have been dead. So really, I guess if the boots are also, there's also a good possibility that the boots could also be in GT. Just make things a lot more convenient. But anyway, Voosh is on the Argus fight. In this fight, you have to use the hook shots to get out the Argyle that's surrounding Argus. And then once you do that, Argus will jump up into the air and will land down, and it'll start moving pretty fast. All you gotta do is either put a silver arrow into Argus, or shoot him a couple times, and that will be it. But Voosh now has his 7 crystal. I don't know the bot is still working or not.
Last I heard, it was not. But go ahead and get the numbers in for the game for funsies if you want to. As Voosh heads up towards the tower. What's your own guess, Professor Renderer?
Well, for starter, before I get my guess in, I'll just say this too. Inside Ganon's tower, there are 22 possible locations where the big key could potentially be. Of course, 1 from 22. Get your answers in chat where you think the big key might be. My personal guess, really, I've always said in some of the races that I've done, I just want a clean and fair fight, and really, I don't want the big key to be on the torch first and foremost, and that would be 3 if you did Hope Room first and then went to the left side. My guess though will be, let's keep it simple, 5.
My guess is 3, and I hope I'm right.
Oh dear. Okay, so there's the big key for Dr. Marty. over on Ice Palace. Alright, now Voosh has opened up, so going up GT. All guesses will be closed as soon as Voosh enters GT proper. And guesses have been closed. Voosh is going to head for the Hope Room first. Starting things off for number 1, we have 10 arrows. Number 2 is never said 10 arrows. We are forced to go to the left side.
I mean, not completely forced, but practically forced.
Practically, yeah. So, is this the big key? It is not. Voosh is in full-on go mode. For number 4, we have a key. Number 5, another key. Number 6, some bombs. And number 7, another key. Number 8 is 20 rupees. Alright, up for number 9 in this fire snake room. Heading for Random Room. The only reason why it's
heading into this Cold Stare fight with 3 hearts, so but it looks like it's going to be clean.
Alright, number 10, we have 50 rupees. Number 11, 20 rupees. Number 12, 3 bombs. And number 13, or 14, do you think 13? Yeah? Yeah, 13 is map. And now we head over to what we collectively call Bob's room, or Bob's chest. The reason why is because there's a glitched anti-fairy that takes up the form of a heart piece, a part of a heart piece, and something else.
Yep, gonna have to bomb jump instead of bonking because of not having the boots.
Ooh, that was not nice at all. You'll have to Voosh might have to reset the room here because there's that bumper enemy. I don't remember the name of this. But no, he's fine. He's good. Okay, here comes number 14. The Cane of Burna. So the cape must have been somewhere out in the dark, somewhere else in the world. For that, those 20 rupees on Spike Cave, pretty useless though. Voosh is going to do the Armos refight, also known as Ice Armos, because you're on ice this time around.
And apparently DP was not boots locked. I apologize for that error. It's not good for Marty because it means he's going to clear it.
15 through 17 not having much. It's going to be on the right side. So Darth Marty gonna head over to the back of Desert Palace. He will be doing the Lamb Mullis fight here in search of the hookshot. Also, the Book of Badora was picked up at Desert Palace. Alright, coming up here, you have bombs. 20 rupees, 5 rupees, and there it is. That was to number 21.
That's oddly the third 21 I've seen in the tournament so far. It seems to be a very popular hit right now.
And of course, this isn't official, but I can give a closest answer to number 21, and that would be Mega Man 31689.
No, it wouldn't. It would be Nip Boy.
Oh, Nip Boy. Oh, I missed that. Okay. Nip Boy has come close to the Big Key guessing game.
Yes,
also,
shout outs to our tracker, who is, certainly not given any advantages at all in this game. They really aren't. But
I'll still shout you out, Mega Man. But Dr. Marty cleared out the Lamola's fight. And now Voosh is on to the gauntlet. Reason why we call it the gauntlet is because, well, these next coming rooms have a series of enemies that you have to fight in a series of one by one rooms, and there's also a BMOS that is being always in pursuit of you, and there's an extra BMOS added for each time, coming up till at least, or no, that's just 2 BMOS at max. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I always thought it was called Gauntlet because you'd be hungry by the time you got here, but maybe that's just me.
But Voosh is going to do the refight of Lamb-Mollis 2. This fight 2 makes it pretty easy too with those silver arrows. And Voosh has cleared out the gauntlet. And so Voosh is going to use the KS Mire to quickly eliminate those Wizrobes. And this is the same thing will happen here in the room in the next room coming up here. Very smooth. And Dr. Marty is now heading for Turtle Rock.
Yep, so about to find the hook shot. It's pretty early in here, at least.
Now, Voosh spent time in this room also to get the magic refill, but there is a glitch that can happen if you go up the stairs while the jingle sound up, the door opening jingle plays at the same time. you despawn all the sprites in the room. That also includes Lammolas too. That means you have to mirror out and reset the entirety of Ganon's tower.
Yeah, even if you can hover, it also includes Aga too, so there's really just no getting around it if you happen to run into that.
Yeah. Speaking of Moldorm, Moldorm is down for Voosh, and is gonna leave the Moldorm 2 chest behind. As I previously mentioned, there can't be anything else that's remaining in those final 4 chests. Because, well, we have silver arrows, we have gold sword, we have red mail, we have also the the powder, and we also have 13 hearts, and mostly full hearts. So there can't be really anything else at this point. But Voosh now on the Aga 2 fight. Aga has now split himself into 2 other copies of himself, and that makes him a total of 3 of clones. And he's gonna just hit the targets. Hit the balls back at Aga 2.
Yep, 4 hits so far by my count. And that's
Now 5. Six. And now all Voosh really has to do is fight off against the Ganon fight, and that will do it for Voosh.
Yep, so Marty's going to enter go mode as Voosh enters the Ganon fight.
So Voosh has now dropped into the Ganon fight.
Ganon is allegedly going to destroy hopes and dreams, but with Voosh's loadout, I don't really like his chances.
Yeah, really, this fight is way faster with the gold sword. Of course, it's by a small margin, but...
And hello, phase 3.
And yeah, of course, there's also the case where the gold sword is also slower due to it causing more lag. That's why typically a tempered sword is better suited.
If you have perfect execution, you can do 1 and 1 on each. Butter's easier.
Yeah, and then at this point now, all really Voosh has to do is put 4 silver arrows into Ganon, and that will do it. There's 1 more, and that'll be it. Just missing, but that will do it. Get your GGs in chat for Voosh. All he has to do is cross the 1x3 bridge, and he will complete off the seed and take game 2 of this match.
Yeah, so we will be getting a game 3 in this one. Be interested to see what Marty chooses to change on it. But a winner is you, the Triforce tells Voosh, and it is correct.
And Voosh has won the race with an official SR time of 1 hour, 31 minutes, and 24 seconds. Dr. Martin has also forfeited the race. And honestly, hookshot,
no shame at all in that. Sometimes people like to finish it, but not usually. If something like this happens, can't blame him in the least.
Yeah, so...
And we are joined by Voosh. GG.
Hey, thank you.
GG.
How'd you feel about that one?
I don't know. I felt good at the beginning, but as the seed went on and I couldn't find the hook shot, I started to feel super behind because I was checking like every overworld imaginable. So I don't know. It was a fun seed though.
Yeah, really, that the hunt for the hook shots definitely was a tricky one, and I don't know what else to say really.
It was just I was either gonna go into Swamp next or go to Turtle Rock, and like the amount of times I've seen hookshot in Swamp is like never. So I decided to just gamble on Turtle Rock having it.
Yeah, I think that's pretty reasonable. Otherwise, it seemed like a pretty linear seed for you up until that point. Any interesting decision points you ran into before that? Choices of, where to start with Dark World once you got the pretty early Dark World access?
Well, the Dark World access kind of just solved itself when I got the bow off of Spectacle Rock. But I did do Hype Cave obviously first. I just thought it would be a good idea. I almost forgot Sahasrara, which I hear Marty also actually did. I'm glad I remembered when I finished Pod. That would have been kind of a nightmare.
Yeah, y'all were basically on each other's heels, exact same choices up until that point. But he did flute away after doing the Pod Eastern combo, and you did grab the old guy's closet. Of course, that's where mitts were.
I mean, I can see why though. Like, so much happened in Pod. Like item, fire rod, whatever else was in there. There's like 3 things in there. I was just overwhelmed with like, okay, what am I doing next? But I literally almost just left after Eastern. Well, when I left Pod, I remembered and I put my portal down so that I could just walk out back to Eastern or to Sahasrara.
Yeah, I can definitely understand that. I believe it was fire rod, flute, and a sword upgrade in Pod.
Yeah.
Master Sword, I think that was. Yeah, because Tempered were... you both got Tempered at like the exact same moment, but he got it out of the Pyramid Fairy and you got it out of Checkerboard.
I get it. This had a very good chance of being like a fairly fast seed if you ignored a lot of the overworld in the dark, but I usually end up doing that if I'm like 1 item from go mode. I start freaking out and I'm like, okay, so I missed it somewhere in the overworld, and then I just do a ton of checks. And it usually bites me in the butt.
Yeah, that does happen. It's not too uncommon to have to do that. But if you have any last words, sound off.
It was a fun seed. I'm sad that Marty missed the gloves because it could have been like a much closer race, I feel. But we still have race 3, which we're gonna do tomorrow at some point. It's still being worked out. I just want to thank you guys for tracking and commentating for us. I appreciate it.
Yeah, and GG to you. Good luck in the 3rd game.
Thank you.
No problem. So definitely give a shout out. I followed to Dr. Marty Zero and Voosh. And if you're watching this on Twitch or on YouTube rather, you can follow them at twitch.tv/poosh and twitch.tv/Dr._Marty_0. Of course, our tracker for the night was Nifboy. Huge shout out to Nifboy. If you want to catch the rest of this amazing tournament, the link to the past 29 Randomizer tournament, be sure to follow the Speed Gaming channels, Speed Gaming and Speed Gaming's 2 through 6, as well as ALTTP Randomizer and ALTTP Randomizer 2 through 5. And Mercy, if you have any last words, sound off.
Yeah, it was a interesting seed. I was glad to see it not get too horrible for our runners, but I do wish Dr. Marty had found the gloves. It would have been a pretty tight race. They were basically on each other's heels the whole time. I'm definitely gonna have to check out race 3. I think that'll be a really good one.
All right, so until then, there's quite a lot more Link to the Past Randomizer to be had on Speed Gaming. We have some matches on Speed Gaming's 3 and 4. Of course, if you also want to take a look at the schedule for everything on Speed Gaming itself, feel free to follow the Speed Gaming channels. As like I said, Speed Gaming and Speed Gaming 2 through 6. And until then, well, I'll see you guys later.